10 p.m. now in the Russian capital and 9 p.m. in Libya, where the first shots have been fired there in the country as foreign forces begin to enforce a no-fly zone backed by the UN. French fighter jets have attacked a Libyan military vehicle and destroyed several tanks in another airstrike, we're just learning. It's the first action since the French president ordered planes to patrol the skies over the city of Benghazi to prevent attacks against civilians. Government troops have reportedly been carrying out attacks on the rebel stronghold throughout the day, and Russia said it regrets the decision to take military action in Libya. Well, for more developments there in the country, let's now cross live to Paula Sleer. She's in the capital, Tripoli. Paula, we're learning that French planes have carried out the first attacks over Libya. What are you hearing there in the capital?
Well, what we're hearing is that as many as 20 French fighter jets could possibly be over Libya at this stage. The reports we're receiving suggest that as many as 4 Libyan vehicles on the ground have been hit and destroyed. We understand that they're possibly tanks and armored personnel vehicles. At the same time, the operation at this stage is limited to the area of Benghazi, the town in the northeastern part of the country. It seems as if the operation is happening on the perimeter. That might be to prevent any kind of civilian casualties if the operation had to move further inland. We are also hearing, though, that British ships have started enforcing a naval blockade, and we will certainly see more of that international response coming together in the coming hours. There are concerns growing on the ground, though, in terms of civilian casualties. It's very difficult to discern from the skies whether or not a pickup truck on the ground, for example, is carrying civilians or whether it's carrying Gaddafi's men. We're also hearing a lot of alarm here in terms of the command, the control and the coordination of this operation and how, in fact, it will evolve in the future. Now, thousands of people have been fleeing from the town of Benghazi. There are long queues at gas stations outside the town, many of them making their way to Tobruk. There has been fighting also reported in the city of Misrata. This is the third largest city in the country. As of yet, though, no international intervention there. At least we're not receiving any reports of it. It is nightfall here in Libya. It is highly likely in the coming hours that Gaddafi's forces will be retreating. We don't expect that there will be a lot of firing and clashes, at least not from them, under the cover of darkness. This has not been their strategy in the past. They prefer to conduct most of their operations in the day, but certainly those fighter jets can remain up in the skies throughout the night. Here in Tripoli, there are growing crowds being used almost as human shields. There have been crowds gathering at the airport, at Gaddafi's stronghold, and at a number of other key locations. And they are calling on others to come forward as a way of protecting these kind of sites from any kind of hits from fighter jets from the international community. But at this stage, it's still unclear whether or not the intention is Tripoli and whether or not we will see any bombs falling here.
What about the people there in Libya? What about their reaction to this international intervention now? What are you hearing?
Well, certainly this is something that the rebels have been calling for weeks now. Ever since the violence started more than a month ago, they have urged the international community to come to their assistance. But that aside, the rebels themselves also admit that this cannot be the first step in a large-scale military operation. A lot of concern being expressed just how far this operation will go. And certainly the Gaddafi regime is against any kind of interference. We've heard Gaddafi himself saying that this is illegal, that it is illegal for the international community to attack and interfere with the domestic affairs of a sovereign state. It is worth noting, though, that a no-fly zone was implemented in Iraq for 12 years. And during that time, Saddam Hussein stayed in power. So parallels being made in terms of, well, really, what can a no-fly zone achieve? A no-fly zone was also implemented in Bosnia, and after that no-fly zone, we had the massacre of Srebrenica. So people are asking the question, if a no-fly zone has not been successful in the past, why would it be successful now? And if, in fact, it's not successful now, well, what will be the next step? Will the international community now be able to justify foot soldiers on the ground and an enlarged operation because they'll say essentially that the no-fly zone did not go far enough to protect the lives of civilians, which is what it is supposed to achieve?
Paula, thanks very much indeed for that. More from you throughout the day. That's RT's Paula Sleer reporting there from Tripoli.